tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're fucking hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit. There's a big appeal that's hit him on the pad. He's out. Lions gone. New South Wales are 9 down onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car. Oh, I think it's hit a car. What a way to bring up your 50.
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Oh, well, can we silence all that bullshit talk about England coming back and winning this series 3-2? All that garbage Stokes and Brooke were spewing about. Oh, they only needed to win 3 tests before the series, and they still only need to win 3 tests. Well, what garbage. And that just sums up Bazball. Absolute garbage. They've thrown this Ashes away. Australia, second day on Adelaide, were all out for 371. Beautiful batting conditions, hot day. The English could have had the Australian attack at their mercy, but no, they're 8 for 213. They trail Australia by 158 runs. And this time, Bazball is busted again, boys. That's right. Brendan McCullum and his merry bunch of losers are going to go back to England embarrassed by their performance in Australia. And those poor, miserable fucks who've come all this way from England to get away from the harsh winter, and they're watching this pathetic performance. They must be used to it because admittedly England always shit the bed when they come here. But this is just another one. They built it up so much and it is just evaporating. I mean, after 2 tests, it was bad, but now they can't even put up a fight in good conditions. I mean, this was a good batting pitch and they made some of the stupidest mistakes. But I said it yesterday. Australia would bowl much better on this pitch. And there was some absolute crackers of deliveries to get wickets. The line ball to Duckett, Cummins to Root, Green to Brooke, they were fantastic deliveries. In between, there were some shit shots from England, but Australia bowled really well today. And England have been outmatched, outclassed. They're pretenders. They are fucking pretenders, and they're getting exposed here. They've been exposed against India. They've been exposed against Australia in the past, and they're getting it again here. And boy, is it fun to watch. Oh, so good. All right. So, going to wrap up the day. I've got a couple of little nuggets I want to get to at the end of the show. One for the real true believers, the long-time Cricket Unfiltered fans. It's a little bit of an add-on to the final word grade cricketer stuff that happened a few episodes ago. But also today, what heroes Nathan Lyon and Pat Cummins were. Both returning, Cummins after a back injury, Lyon after being dropped in the last test match, and they broke this game open. They took the first 4 wickets. They broke the game open. They put England on the back foot. Lyon 2 wickets and an over. What a statement from him. And he went past Glenn McGrath to be the second leading wicket taker in history for Australia. You just can't imagine it, that when he started all those years ago in Sri Lanka, 15 years ago, that now he only has Shane Warne ahead of him in the leading test wicket takers for Australia. And, you can't ask for a better servant and a better Australian cricketer than Nathan Lyon. And Pat Cummins, after the cruel news of losing his sidekick, Steve Smith, who, truth be told, runs a lot of the tactics on the field. It was all on Cummins today, and he proved it with some inspired bowling, some great tactics, changed the bowlers around. So a truly great performance from some 2 veterans, Cummins and Lyon. All right, now, before I get into some more of the action from today, before play started, and look, we do not need to give the Poms any excuse to whinge, because they will find a reason to whinge whether there is one or not. So the problem is they actually have a legitimate case to win today, because the snicko operators for Fox Sports admitted they got it wrong yesterday when Carey was batting, and they used the wrong sound, and the audio and video weren't matching, and basically Carey escaped, and then Australia went on to add quite a few more runs to their tally. Maybe Carey's not there. You don't get those extra runs. And so before play today, and then after play last night, Carey admitted to the press conference that he thought he nicked it and he's not a walker. So that just rubs salt into the wounds. And I kind of like Carey just going, fuck you guys. I'm just going to admit I hit it. You fucking win. Anyway, so Carey admits it. And then before play today, the umpires and the match referee, they give back England's review, which is cold comfort after you've been cost a wicket. And so the issue with the technology is basically the host broadcaster pays for the technology, and it is very expensive to broadcast cricket. Networks are paying a fortune for sports rights, and they try to cut corners wherever they can. And one of the ways you can cut corners is on technology. You use cheaper technology. Now, in other parts of the world, there's technology like Ultra Edge and Hawkeye that perform better than Snicko. And there is legitimate outcry today. Why isn't the host broadcaster here using the best technology available? And that is because they have to pay for it. And it's an economic decision. So I think it's something the ICC needs to get on top of. Maybe they need to make standard certain technology standard for certain games. I mean, maybe Snicko is not good enough for international cricket. But anyway, the point is, and we saw later on the day's play, there were a couple of instances where the Snicko was called into question. There was Harry Brook. There was a Jamie Smith one. There was a couple where it seemed like that the Snicko was just not good enough, that the pitches and the sounds aren't matching up. The players were getting frustrated. There was one right at the end where Jamie Smith was eventually given out. He seemed pretty upset with that one. But England have legitimate complaints that this technology is not reliable enough for what is the biggest test series on the calendar. Australia needs to do better. Cricket Australia needs to say, well, maybe they need to subsidize some of it. Maybe they pay the extra for the better technology. But I do know from, having spoken to a lot of the broadcasters, Fox in particular, broadcasting cricket is very, very expensive. And we're talking, that technology, maybe we're talking an extra $25,000 to $50,000 per day if you want to upgrade the technology. And when you add that up over a whole series, you're talking a lot of money. So they're paid a lot of money to broadcast cricket, and they try to cut corners, but it's not good enough. And England were frustrated with it, and so they should have been. All right. So play started. Australia were 8 for 326, and Stark smashed his way to a half century. There was some loose stuff to start the day, and he brought up his 13th half century in tests, and it's the first time in his career he's made back-to-back half centuries. What a magic series for Mitchell Stark so far. Crucial runs, wickets. It really is the summer of Stark. But then Simon Kadich went so early on this. So I was listening to SEN on the radio, and Kadich said after Stark brought up his 50 that he was going to make a century. He said Stark's going to make 100 here. And then he got out next ball, bowled by Archer. It was the earliest century call I've ever heard. Australia were 8 down. He just brought up his 50. And England were bowling badly, but it wasn't that badly. So anyway, Stark was out 9 for 370. And Stokes and Archer had a bit of a blow up after that Stark wicket. It would seem that there was some frustration with the way Archer was bowling from Stokes, and Archer was upset with the field placing. Archer was upset with the field placing, and he and Stokes had a real little verbal stoush after that wicket. And you have to say this tour is falling apart for Stokes in England. And it is a joy to watch. Now they're fighting with each other. Hopefully hopefully they're not even going to want to play golf together by the end of this tour. They'll all be playing golf separately. So Australia were 9 for 370, and Australia had added 44 runs in 30 minutes of 7 overs. Again, just too easy for Australia. And this is what made me think, okay, conditions are really good for batting today. It had just, the ball seemed to be coming on a bit better than yesterday, a little bit of time under the sun. It's not breaking up yet. It's not slowing down yet. It looked a great day to bat. And the way Australia batted today, it should have been a great day to bat for England. Australia all out for 371 in the end line, the last player out, LBW to Archer for 9. He took figures of 5 for 53, his fourth 5-wicket haul in Test cricket. And I don't know if I'm seeing a different game, but it looked to me like the softest 5-wicket haul I've ever seen. He bowls some good deliveries, but boy, he doesn't seem to put in for his team consistently. And it reads well on paper, but I just don't know if the performance matches what I'm seeing when I look at Archer. Like, I think he just runs in, puts the ball there a lot. Australia is sitting on him, but it doesn't look to me like he's really in the contest a lot of the time. But anyway, 5 for 53, it's in the scorebook. So England looked good to start. Australia bowling well, but they got to 37. Nothing much was happening. It was 40 degrees. So just remember, it's baking hot in Adelaide today. It's supposed to cool down, I think, for the rest of the Test match, but it was 40 degrees. So a tough day to be out there. And that's why you even have to further applaud the Australian effort. They bowled superbly, absolutely superbly in really trying conditions. And you wouldn't see that sort of stuff out of England. I mean, they'll be melting if it's this hot tomorrow and they're in the field. So they started well. Nothing much was happening. Duckett and Crawley were digging in, and then Cummins, out of nowhere, comes in, bowls a beautiful ball to Zach Crawley, just angles in, seamed away. Crawley's out, caught behind for 9. England are 1 for 37. Then, not long after, Lyon comes into the attack. This is all before lunch, by the way. Pope, third ball of Lyon's spell, Pope just steers one to mid-on, and a shocking shot, just threw his wicket away, just an on drive, straight to Inglis, good catch from him, but that had England 2 for 41, and that could be the end of Pope's career. The problem is they have no one waiting in the wings. Bethel hasn't been scoring many runs. Baz just plucks these people who he thinks can make runs. He doesn't look at county cricket, and it's left them in a quandary now where they don't have much backup. So Pope made it 2 for 41, just gave his wicket away. And what a return for Lyon. He'd been dropped, and then third ball gets a wicket. But then 3 balls later, Duckett's on strike now. Lyon comes around the wicket, angles one in, it straightens beautifully down the line. Duckett completely misreads it, and he's bowled, and all of a sudden, England are collapsing. They're 3 for 42. Lyon has 2 wickets in his first over, and those 2 wickets took him past Glenn McGrath. I mentioned it at the top of the show. He now has 564 Test wickets. Then just before lunch, Root got an inside edge, carried to Carey, and it was reviewed, and it would have been 4 for 42 had Root been given out here, but they went to DRS, and this is where I think the umpires decided, we'll just even things up here for the English because we know they like to whinge. We'll just give them one back here because Root edged one. It was clear on Snicko, surprisingly, and then it went through to Carey. Or you would give that out all the time if you're a TV umpire. But having seen what happened overnight and with all the issues with Snicko, I think the TV umpire decided just to err on the side of caution, and they give Root not out. Boland should have had him. Carey clearly got his fingers under the ball, but there was like not even 1% doubt, like 0.5% doubt, and that was just enough for them to be able to go, oh, we'll just give a square up here. So England went to lunch at 3 for 59 in all sorts, and then it got worse. That didn't cost them too much. Root was out 15 minutes after lunch. The score was 4 for 71s. He was caught behind off Cummins. Good ball from Cummins, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Australia challenged that tough length just outside off stump. Gab was talking about it yesterday on the show. Australia were challenging that sort of just short of a length just short of driving length outside off stump, a lot more than England were. And Root just pinned to the crease, didn't really go forward or back, got an edge to Carey. Not a great shot from Root. And it was the 12th time in Test cricket Pat Cummins has dismissed Joe Root, and it's the most of any bowler. And then there was a bit of a quiet period. Harry Brook and Stokes put on a bit of a partnership. During this time, Stokes was hit on the head by Stark. That was a bit of a nasty blow. At one point, Brook was given out, caught down the leg side off line. That was overturned. It looked like it came off the pad. But then Cameron Green was brought into the attack. Now, much maligned Cameron Green. A lot of talk after his dismissal yesterday about whether he or Bo Webster should be playing as the all-rounder. And I had to ask myself the question. I put out a tweet yesterday about it, and the real Mark Latham replied. Those people in Australia will know who I'm talking about. And I think he wants Webster in the side. So maybe we should stick with Green, just judging by his judgment on everything else. Anyway, apart from that, though, so Green comes in, and his second legal ball of the Test, he got Harry Brook with an absolute cracker. Brook was out for 45 just as he was getting going. It was one of the balls of the Test. Green so tall, he banged it in, angling in, seamed away, wobble seam, and Harry Brook was out. And that had England at tea 5 for 132. England had lost 2 for 73 in that session. And, that was such a big partnership to break, Brook and Stokes, because we know, Brook can make big scores when he gets going. And again, just wasn't to be, got to start. He didn't throw it away, though. That's the one thing about the other dismissals compared to this one. That was a legitimate seed from Cam Green. And what a comeback from him after coming under fire from yours truly on the podcast. And then the DRS drama continued. A close call for Smith off Cummins. A ball seemed to come off glove and helmet, and it looked like Australians had caught it, but then the umpire decided to err on the side of caution, that he wasn't sure that Jamie Smith had hit it, so he was given not out. And at this point, you could tell both teams were getting frustrated, especially Australia. There was some comments picked up by Stark on the stump mic that Snicko should be sacked. But then finally, Jamie Smith was out caught behind. He was swinging across the line at Cummins, got a little feather, and he was caught behind. But no one was happy with that. It was just a little feather on the bat, which I don't think Jamie Smith thought he hit it. The one thing I will say is, one thing we have seen from Snicko, not even Snicko, Ultra Edge or the technologies that work, batters don't always know if they've hit it or not. So you can't always go with the batter. But anyway, Smith was out. England 6 for 159. Then it was a Scott Boland show. He bowled a superb spell here. He had Will Jacks out, caught bat pad. So Alex Carey standing up to the stumps to Boland, who's bowling almost 140 clicks at this stage. Jacks inside edges one onto his pads, and Carey, who's up to the stumps, takes a beautiful catch just sort of behind the batter to the right. And that had Will Jacks out. And then, so England 7 for 168 at this stage. And then next over, Cass was bowled by Boland, ball that seamed back in at the right-hander, and England were 8 for 168. And Boland in that spell bowled 5 overs, 2 wickets for 1 run. So England in absolute all sorts, 8 for 168. Ben Stokes is obdurate at the other end, just digging in. And he was joined by Jofra Archer, and Archer and Stokes batted through to stumps. They got the score to 8 for 213. They've put on 45, so far. So good little partnership at the end there for those two. Archer's 30 not out off 48 deliveries. Stokes is 45 not out off 150 deliveries. For Australia, Pat Cummins has 3 wickets, 3 for 54. Some big wickets too. Cummins has Crawley, Root, and Smith. 3 big wickets. Boland has 2 for 31, Lyon 2 for 51, and Green 1 for 22. Mitchell Stark, no wickets in this innings. He can take a break. He's done enough for the first 2 tests. Now that Cummins and Lyon are back, they can pick up a bit of the slack. So England still trail Australia by 158 runs. Stokes and Archer not out. Hard to see them batting much longer tomorrow. Stokes might swing the bat. He didn't even go after the bowling, even when he was with Jofra Archer. I think he's almost making a statement to his team that you can dig in, but he might want to start taking on the bowling soon. Australia tried the short stuff to Archer, and he almost could have been caught a couple of times. So I'm not sure how long he'll last tomorrow morning. But Australia stuck at it today in really tough conditions, hot weather on a good batting pitch. I mean, this is a place to fill your boots. And this English team that prides itself on their attacking stroke play, short square boundaries, it was all there waiting for them. This whole tour was waiting for them. And what have they done? Absolute sweet fuck all. We are how many days into this? 8 days of Test cricket into it, and they're staring at a 3-0 deficit already. It's embarrassing. McCullum should be embarrassed. He should absolutely be embarrassed. He should hand in his resignation at the end of this Test match, and they should get a new coach to finish the tour. They should start the rebuild after Adelaide. Remove Baz. He can go and have Christmas and New Year with his family and install a new coach. They need to hit the panic button because this is embarrassing, and it's only getting worse for the English. For Australia, though, what a performance. I mean, Carey's ton yesterday, Stark helping them get up to 371. You know, it was a terrific team performance, and then all class with the ball today. You know, that attack of Boland, Stark, Cummins and Lyon, it wins a lot of Test matches for Australia, and this one looks to me no different. I mean, all I can see, the best I can see from England here is maybe escape with the draw, but I just don't see how that's happened. We're on to day 3 tomorrow. Australia will want to bat for as long as they can, get a massive lead. They won't want to open the door for England to chase anything. So Australia will be looking to bat day and a half at least, get that lead up to 400-500, and then have a crack at the English. Maybe the English bat it out defiantly just to save some face. I mean, they might go for it and get bowled out. But anyway, the point is, this is fucked. Baz McCullum's and his team, it's fucked. And this is what you deserve after 2023 Ashes, where you treated our team like shit, and now you are coming here and getting humiliated. This is called karma, so fuck you. All right. Okay, so that's the end of the day. Can't wait for tomorrow. Couple of things, though. So, firstly, I have talked about the plum chicken at the Adelaide Oval in past podcasts, and there was an article in the Daily Telegraph in the lead up to this Test match about the famous plum chicken. So apparently a chef took it off the menu in 2016, and there was a blow up from the players. There was an outcry from the players about where is the plum chicken. And in the article, it also referenced that Steve Waugh was a big fan of the plum chicken, and he used to talk about it. And that's where I think I must have first heard about it, because I'm obviously a huge fan of Steve Waugh's, read all his books and diaries when I was a kid. So he must have talked about the plum chicken there. But it's been talked about for generations, this plum chicken. I've sort of talked about it before, but it's basically fried chicken tenders, fried chicken breast, fried chicken basically, with a beautiful sweet plum sauce. And the players apparently love it. It's not healthy, but who cares? You need your calories when it's a 40-degree day. And this chef removed it, and he was lambasted by the players for removing it. So it's not just me about the plum chicken. It is a famous story. And then the other thing I wanted to get to before I wrap up this podcast is I spoke about how the grade cricketer and the Final Word podcast guys had mentioned me on a show they did. And I made some comments, and I'm just having fun. I really like pretty much all of them. They're all nice guys, and I'm trying to stay out of beefs. But he goes, and Sam Perry, they did make reference to the fact that I said Sam was a really nice guy, and he goes, was an asshole. He goes, just plays the asshole role. I'm just messing around. As I said, I'm not sure he's not an asshole, but anyway, but, you know, like, I'm trying to stay out of beefs. I don't want to get in beefs. I just want to get along with people, be better. But I have been provided DMs from or private messages from Adam Collins about me that he's put in group chats recently. So That is a tantalizing little bit of information to get. And I would just, I just have sources everywhere, so I can't. I'm trying to stay out of these beefs, but these DMs from Collins about me are so delusional and so crazy. I would love to go through them on the podcast, but I'm trying to stay out of beefs. But Collins knows this. It always gets back to me, and then he pretends that he's innocent. Anyway, that's the update. I've got these DMs from Adam Collins about me that maybe I'll go through on the podcast one day. All right, that's it for this episode of Cricket Unfiltered. The summer of fun continues for this Australian side. They are rollicking along England, embarrassing themselves as usual on these shores. They still are 158 runs behind Australia. But today was really about Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon returning to the side and taking 5 of the 8 wickets and pushing Australia closer to retaining that little urn.